Hello, Anshu here. Welcome to my channel. Now, this is the second part of this fabulous conversation where Federico Flagging is describing what Vedas have already said. So, with his own experience, he's describing. And you must, if you have time, please listen to the whole talk. But I found it extremely fascinating. So I will put the link in the description box. And in my own way, I will try to describe the essence of this conversation that makes sense to me. So basically, I'm a seeker and, of course, inquisitive mind, and I wish to learn and also experience these fabulous concepts. So, what he says is, which Vedas have also said, have been saying it, is written in Vedas, that consciousness is the observer, the observed, and also the actor. So, consciousness is all there is. It's the whole reality within which other seemingly different realities exist. He says, and it is also true, that all 50 trillion cells in our body are holographic, having the knowledge of the whole. And they're all aware, self aware, and highly intelligent. Each cell remains connected to one consciousness, the intelligent field that is unmeasurable, infinite, and ever existing. What we are feeling inside is enormously wide. And this field from where the feelings are coming, it cannot be represented in totality, in wholeness. It is beyond any thought, words, or speech. What we can represent is only a small part of it or a fractal of it, because every representation has a narrow focus. It cannot describe and does not describe the holistic view. So, actual conscious field and the quantum field. Quantum field, where the electrons are jumping and uh, where the beginning of any creation takes place, is also highly conscious and self-aware. But actual field itself has got infinite probabilities. When we try to create something with our intention, feelings, and desire, we look at the quantum field with a narrow one pointed angle that results in a wave collapse. So, say my intention is I wish to write a book. So this is my intention one. So this intention, when I put it out in the field, goes with my consistent thought. If I give power to my thoughts, then it creates a wave, and then somewhere the wave collapses. And if I give it power, the wave collapses one after another, like actual frames in a film. And so that's how the creation begins. Any idea, thought, desire, or spoken word or intention creates ripples in the quantum field. And these ripples join to make bigger waves, just like what happens in the ocean. Scientists observe these wave functions and they can describe it using the equations. And they can now, it was debatable for number of decades actually, but now the quantum field entanglement is observed, understood. And the scientists describe it mathematically with equations, that wave function. But that explanation and mathematics itself is coming from consciousness. Equations are calculated in terms of zeros and ones. Zeros and ones are mathematical representation of the quantum field, but in reality, that one conscious field that is which is deriving the conscious creation itself is far deeper, bigger, larger, and unmeasurable. And that field, the bigger field, is giving birth to the quantum creation with many probabilities. But we look at the probability with which the wave function has collapsed and into and that quantum creation has manifested into a form in space time. So consciousness observes from infinite different dimensions. And when we speak, as soon as we speak, the spoken word exists in space time. So the consciousness works beyond space time. That is why we say the word exists, because word has created or is the result of a wave creation. Any spoken word, description, or what we write happens in, or any form which is the result of our desire and intention, exists in space time in a form. Whereas in reality, the consciousness is beyond any thoughts, beyond any words, and it's much larger with infinite probabilities. And that consciousness is giving birth to any representation which is limited. Our thoughts, words, language, body, all are symbols of that unfathomed deeper reality called which is conscious. It's the big field which is everywhere. So his argument, because he had a deeper personal experience where he felt that enormous love frequency is coming out from his heart, and no way he can describe what he felt in words. So, what he says is consciousness or free will can only be taken as a postulate or an assumption. Now, what is a postulate? We have to understand. A postulate suggests or assumes the existence, fact, or truth of something as a basis of reasoning, discussion, or belief. So, we try to understand a postulate, but it's not whole. Postulate cannot describe the whole reality. It is just assumes that something exists and we are trying to define it through words, define its existence. So he says scientists do not want to expand their minds to consciousness level because it is too large. And every explanation is coming from consciousness only. So, what they are feeling, the thoughts, the words they are describing, or their intelligence is coming from that conscious field. So, so they are trying to describe it through equations, and they believe that one day their equation, the derived information or derived equations can describe the consciousness. But in truth, he says it can never be possible because scientists do not want to admit, because they do not want to lose their power. They want to explain everything in terms of equations, but every equation, be a mathematical, a spoken word, or an explanation, all is limited because it's coming from a very narrow focus. And it is coming from a very narrow understanding and angle. It is not holistic. Then he goes further explaining the inner and the outer world. The inner world consists of feelings, observations, our experiences, and they are unmeasurable, infinitely wide, infinitely vast, with infinite, unlimited probabilities. Whereas the minute we try to represent or try to explain our inner world, it becomes outer world. When we seek to describe, explain, or experience that inner world of what we are feeling inside, then it becomes very limited. The minute we say, I got it, I understand, we come into some sort of representation of that whole. And any representation, explanation, or derived meaning are only representation through words. Words are limited, they carry just very limited energy. They do not explain the whole. Our representation can be measured in terms of equations, but representations are representations only limited and they are not holistic. In actuality, the one consciousness field is far deeper. So he goes on to describe that conscious field, the one conscious field, has got three properties. First, it is dynamic. It is changing minute to minute. It is eternally changing. It's never the same. Then the second property, that it is O with infinite probabilities. And the last one, it wants to know itself. That is why, who am I, is that eternal question consciousness poses to itself, to every seeker. Every seeker wishes to know, who am I? This who am I changes from minute to minute, depending on the state we are in. In questioning who am I, the consciousness looks in a particular direction. It poses a question in a particular direction, a dimension, which is basically one fractal of the whole. So it is holistic, the consciousness, but when it poses this question, who am I, to itself, it starts to look into a very narrow fractal of itself. And when whatever it looks at, then it says, oh, I'm a tree, I'm a teacher, I'm a man, I'm a woman, or I'm a bird, or I'm a single cell amoeba. So it depends on what it is looking at or what it is identifying that consciousness with, it describes as who am I? I am that. And whatever it describes, whatever identity it describes, becomes very a limited identity in which God or consciousness sees itself. So that's all for today. I leave you with your interpretation and leave in the comments, what do you think? Do you think one day scientists would be able to describe this holistic consciousness through equations? Or consciousness can never be described through equations? So, this is something you answer. Personally, if you want to know my answer at this moment, I am also evolving. I am also learning everything new every day. So, right now, I agree with what Vedas have written, that this consciousness is holistic with infinite probabilities. It never dies, it knows all there is. You can call it zero. So, in that consciousness, through that consciousness, we get that limited intelligence. our brain thinks. We download that limited intelligence from the mind, from the software. And when we speak a word, the conscious, when we have an intention or a thought which we or something which we want to manifest, the minute we utter it out, then it becomes a representation of that whole, a fractal, a very minute part of that big consciousness. So, and that's where the conscious creation begins. So we can only begin a conscious creation, and with repetition, we can give it a form through mantras. I made a video recently that Vedic mantras are proven, they are siddhas, they are proven, they give you divine powers if you utter them, those words. So those alphabets, the Sanskrit alphabets, they have got the divine energy. And if you repeat it in the correct sound and frequency format, then and also a number of times consistently, then that desired intention can be manifested. So this is what I feel, personally feel, because our intelligence, our experiences, our conscious creation, our free will is a representation. They are symbols of that one consciousness. So from the symbols, how can we define the whole? That's what I think. Anyway, what do you think? Please put down your comments in the description box. And I see you in my next video. Bye for now.